Humans? You've got to be kidding me! You're just a bunch of monkeys with tools. What's next? They'll fight back with sticks and stones? The alien commander's voice echoed across the intercom, full of smug amusement. A few miles away, Sergeant John Morrow, eyes glued to a fire-scarred screen, talking into his radio. "Hold position. We've got incoming." He clenched his jaw, watching the approaching fleet of alien ships descending through the darkening sky like a swarm of locusts. Outside, the air was thick with panic. A dozen alien warships hovered over the city, their monstrous hulls bristling with weaponry. Their technology was far beyond humanity's wildest dreams, yet the commander's arrogance had overlooked one thing: Earth's unexpected guests. "Prepare to engage," Morrow said, signaling his team, but his mind was racing. "Get those EMPs ready. We're taking out their comms first." The alien ship's energy beam hit a skyscraper, sending a plume of dust and rubble into the air. Buildings buckled and crumbled under the weight of the oncoming storm. Humanity's defenses, though brave, were no match for the aliens' advanced weapons. Inside their ships, the invaders didn't take the humans seriously. They thought Earth would be an easy conquest. They thought wrong. Then, something happened. "Sir, look at this!" Corporal Brooks shouted, his eyes wide. He pointed to the sky. Morrow turned. At first, it was just a few birds. Small birds, like sparrows. But they were diving at the alien ships, not fleeing. They were attacking? He didn't have time to process it. The birds were followed by a formation of wolves, their fur bristling in unison, racing toward the aliens' positions. "What the hell?" "They're coordinated," Brooks muttered. He didn't even finish his sentence before a massive elephant charged through the street, its tusks aimed straight for an alien drone. The alien machine exploded on contact, and Morrow's jaw dropped. "They've been waiting for something. For us," Brooks said. Morrow didn't answer. He watched in disbelief as the elephants crushed drones and the wolves took down alien foot soldiers in coordinated attacks that only made sense if they'd been trained for this. "Move out now!" Morrow snapped. The wolves were moving, harrying the invaders. Humans were scrambling, pulling themselves together, trying to grasp what was happening. The alien machines couldn't process what was happening. They were designed to fight humans, not wild animals. Morrow's fingers tightened around his rifle. It was time to move. In the chaos of battle, the streets were littered with debris. Explosions rocked the ground as the wolves attacked in perfect formation, moving faster than Morrow had ever seen any animal move. These weren't just random strikes, they were tactical, like something out of a military playbook. "Brooks, on me!" Morrow shouted as he sprinted towards a collapsed building. A pack of wolves, led by a massive alpha, raced past them, their eyes locked on the alien forces that were still trying to regroup. The wolves were flanking the enemy with terrifying speed, taking down alien soldiers savagely. "Get ready to move in," Morrow commanded, his rifle trained on the nearest alien machine. It turned toward him just as an elephant barreled down the street, its massive body slamming into the machine with a sickening crunch. The alien machine crumpled under the force, its systems short-circuiting from the impact. Brooks aimed his rifle at the alien soldiers advancing through the wreckage. "They're not just animals," he said. "These things are organized." Morrow didn't have time for analysis. "Just keep firing!" The battle raged on, but with every passing moment, Morrow felt a glimmer of hope. The humans were fighting, yes, but it wasn't just the humans anymore. The animals, who had once been the passive residents of Earth, had become warriors in their own right, turning the tide in ways no one had expected. "Get to the rooftop," Morrow ordered. "We'll need a better vantage point." He and Brooks scrambled up the fire escape, dodging the flaming wreckage of alien ships and the fire from alien drones. At the top, Morrow watched the chaos unfold before him. The wolves weren't just attacking in waves. They were hitting specific targets. They were dismantling the alien machines. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were executing a strategy. And then it hit him. The aliens didn't stand a chance. The alien commander's voice crackled over the comms again. "This is unacceptable. We've underestimated you, humans, but this nonsense with the animals has gone too far." Morrow smiled, watching as elephants used their trunks to fling debris at the alien soldiers, sending them flying. A massive lion leaped into the fray, taking down an alien sentry with a single swipe of its paw. The aliens had underestimated the planet they thought they could conquer. They hadn't counted on Earth's natural defenses, or its strange, unexpected alliance between humans and animals. Morrow grinned, watching as a wolf pack led another charge. "Don't count your chickens just yet." The battle raged throughout the city, but Morrow wasn't focused on the destruction. His eyes followed the wolves, the lions, and the elephants. They were everywhere, strategic, deadly, and somehow it felt like they were working with them, not just alongside them. A loud boom shook the ground beneath his boots, and he jerked his head to the side just in time to see a colossal alien ship's beam cut through a nearby building. Glass and debris rained down, but the wolves didn't flinch. They were already running again, flanking the enemy's left side. Morrow's comm crackled. "Morrow! We've got a big one on the west side. A squad of drones is headed straight for us. We could use some backup," Lieutenant Harris said. Morrow gritted his teeth. "I'm on it." He grabbed Brooks by the arm. "We need to go now. You with me?" Brooks didn't hesitate, his rifle swinging around. "Let's do this, sir." The streets were a mess of wreckage, dust, and the smell of burning metal. They ducked into an alley and sprinted toward Harris's position. As they turned the corner, Morrow saw the alien drones hovering above a group of trapped humans, their weapons trained on the civilians. "Cover me!" Morrow shouted as he bolted toward a nearby pile of rubble. He wasn't alone for long. Brooks opened fire, covering Morrow's advance. The bullets pinged off the drone's shields, but it bought Morrow enough time to get closer. He dropped to a knee, taking aim at the drone's weak point, the exposed underbelly. With a single shot, he sent the drone spiraling to the ground, the machine sparking and smoking as it crashed into a pile of concrete. But the others weren't as easy. One of the drones whirred overhead, locking onto Morrow's position. It fired a burst of plasma, and Morrow dove behind the rubble just in time. Brooks cursed, his rifle spitting rounds to keep the remaining drones off him. "Where the hell are the animals?" Morrow muttered. The human soldiers were holding their own, but without reinforcements, this wasn't going to last long. Then, as if on cue, a massive roar erupted from behind them. Morrow's heart skipped a beat. The ground shook as a pack of wolves, led by the massive Alpha, charged straight for the remaining drones. Morrow didn't need to ask questions. He raised his rifle and opened fire, picking off the drones that strayed too far from the pack. The wolves attacked, their jaws snapping as they leaped onto the alien machines, tearing into them with ferocity. The drones fell one by one, their systems overwhelmed by the wolves' brutal assault, An elephant charged from behind, its massive feet stomping down on a drone, crushing it underfoot with ease. The battle was shifting. The aliens had underestimated the animals, just like they had underestimated humanity. Harris appeared, breathless but alive. "Nice timing," he said, lowering his weapon. "I didn't think we'd make it out of there." Morrow wiped the sweat off his brow. "Neither did I, but it looks like we're not fighting alone anymore." The city was starting to resemble a war zone more than a place of life. Alien ships hovered overhead, firing down devastating beams. But they were no longer just fighting humans. The animals were attacking with a level of coordination and aggression that was almost alien itself. Wolves tore into alien soldiers. Elephants rammed their tusks into alien mechs with bone-shattering force. Even birds were diving, dropping rocks and debris onto the invaders below. Morrow looked to Brooks. "Do you think they're communicating with each other?" Brooks squinted at a group of lions that had taken to dragging alien bodies away from the battlefield, hiding them in the shadows like soldiers who knew how to keep their enemies guessing. "Not sure, but they're definitely working together." A voice crackled through the comms. "All units, we have a new objective. We're pushing forward to the Central Command. We need to hit their main power grid." Morrow looked up, eyeing the towering alien ship above them. He could feel the tension rising again. This was their last shot. If they could take down the grid, they could cripple the alien fleet. "Move out," he ordered, "and keep your eyes open. We've got backup, but we don't know how long it'll hold." They moved quickly, their feet crunching over the debris-strewn streets, heading for the heart of the city. The wolves, still in formation, led the charge. The elephants brought up the rear, crushing alien drones underfoot as they went. As they reached the outskirts of the city's power grid, Morrow noticed something strange. The animals weren't just fighting. They were looking for something. They were scanning the area, as if they knew where to strike. "This is it," Morrow muttered. "We take out their power, and we cripple their ability to fight back. Brooks, stay with me." Brooks nodded, keeping his rifle at the ready. They moved in, flanking the perimeter of the alien-controlled grid. The wolves darted ahead, scouting out enemy positions, while the elephants positioned themselves near the walls, ready to charge at any sign of movement. The alien forces were scrambling. The initial shock of facing coordinated animal resistance was wearing off, and they were losing their grip on the battlefield. Morrow didn't give them time to recover. With a loud shout, he signaled the team to charge. "Push forward!" Morrow shouted. He and Brooks led the charge, ducking behind cover and firing as they went. A huge explosion rang out as one of the elephants slammed into a large alien turret, knocking it off its base. Morrow's heart raced as he sprinted toward the power core. The wolves had already begun tearing through the alien defenses, carving their way to the center of the grid. Come on," Morrow muttered under his breath. He reached the control panel and planted the explosive charges, setting the timer for 5 minutes. The aliens were closing in, their drones circling the area. It was now or never. "Sir, we've got incoming!" Brooks shouted, but Morrow didn't turn. The charge was set, and all he needed to do was get back to safety. "We're not done yet!" Morrow shouted as he fired at the nearest drone. He sprinted toward the exit, a surge of adrenaline pushing him forward. The wolves had already started moving, darting between enemy fire and tearing apart any alien soldier that crossed their path. The countdown was ticking. The tension in the air was thick with the promise of an explosion that would change everything. And then, It came. A massive roar shook the city as the power grid exploded in a burst of light, sending alien ships spiraling out of control. The invaders' technology shorted out, and the remaining drones fell like dead flies. The tide of the battle had shifted, for good. Morrow grinned, his heart pounding. We've got them now. The explosion had torn through the heart of the alien power grid, sending shockwaves through the city. The sky above flickered as the alien ships began to wobble, their systems crashing under the blast's intensity. The remaining drones were disabled, floating lifelessly in the air like dead husks. Morrow didn't pause to celebrate. He was already on the move, ducking under falling debris as he motioned for Brooks to follow. "Let's finish this," he muttered, his eyes fixed on the chaos around them. The alien invaders weren't done, not by a long shot, but they were stunned, disoriented, and scrambling to regroup. And that was all the time humanity, and their unexpected allies, needed. The wolves continued to assault the enemy with ruthless efficiency, weaving in and out of alien lines. They were more than just beasts now. They were soldiers, trained by something beyond human understanding, something wild, something earthborn. Morrow didn't know how it had happened, but he didn't care. He was just glad they were on the same side. "We need to hit the command ship," Morrow shouted, his voice barely audible over the ringing in his ears. "If we take it down, the rest of them won't stand a chance." Brooks gave him a look of disbelief. "On your 6. The ground trembled as they sprinted through the war-torn streets. The once vibrant city had been reduced to ruins. Alien ships still hovered above, firing sporadically, but they were weakened, their weapons less effective. The wolves darted between the wreckage, keeping their distance from the alien fire, but Morrow could see the way they moved, like they knew what they were doing. "Move! Move!" Morrow yelled as they reached the base of the alien command ship. The towering structure loomed over them, a monolithic testament to the invaders' power, but it was no longer invincible, not with the tide of battle shifting in favor of Earth. "We've got 5 minutes," Morrow said, checking his watch. "Brooks, you're with me. Harris, cover us." The 3 men moved quickly, staying low behind the rubble as alien soldiers regrouped around the ship. The wolves were already on the move, flanking the enemy in all directions, pulling their attention away from the humans. The elephants, still fierce and powerful, were using their trunks to flip enemy machines into the air, scattering alien forces in their wake. Morrow's heart pounded in his chest. He'd seen a lot in his time in the military: death, destruction, and hopeless situations. But this felt different. It felt like the whole planet was fighting back, not just humans. Earth wasn't about to roll over and die. Not today. They reached the base of the command ship, its exterior lined with alien defenses. Morrow planted charges on the outer wall, the timer ticking down. Suddenly, a shout from Brooks pulled him out of his focus. "They're coming in from the left!" Morrow spun, rifle raised, and fired at the approaching alien soldiers. But they were too many, closing in from all sides. There was no time to hesitate. "Brooks, stay on the charges!" Morrow ordered, before sprinting toward the enemy lines. The wolves were fighting their hardest, but they weren't invincible. The alien soldiers were regrouping, ready for one final push. "Cover me!" Morrow shouted as he ran, gunfire ringing out from all sides. He weaved between the alien machines, dodging plasma blasts, and returning fire with deadly accuracy. He couldn't stop now. Not with Earth's future on the line. Brooks was still by the charges, setting the final piece into place. He turned to Morrow as he sprinted back toward him. "We're out of time!" "Go!" Morrow shouted, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "It's now or never!" They took off, sprinting toward the safety of a nearby alley. The wolves had already begun their final charge. T-Hay were in position. Morrow could see the way they moved, each one with purpose, each one with intent. The ground trembled again, louder this time. The aliens had realized what was happening. But it was too late. The charges exploded with a deafening roar, sending a shockwave through the city. The alien command ship cracked open like an egg, the debris scattering across the battlefield. Alien soldiers screamed as their ship exploded, their screams cutting off as the once unstoppable force collapsed in on itself. Morrow didn't wait to watch the fallout. He was already moving, rallying his men. "We've got them on the run! Let's finish this!" The remaining alien forces were disorganized, panicked. Their command ship was gone, their power grid destroyed, and their forces scattered. The wolves had done their part, ripping through alien lines with the ferocity of 1,000 storms. The elephants charged through the wreckage, trampling drones underfoot. And the humans? They pushed forward like a wall of steel and fury. The alien drones scattered, trying to retreat, but the humans and their newfound allies wouldn't let them. The remaining wolves, the last of the lions, even the smaller animals like raccoons and birds, harried the invaders, tearing at their equipment and disarming soldiers with brutal efficiency. Morrow stood at the front, his gun at the ready, watching as the remaining aliens turned to flee. It was over. The invaders, who had come to Earth thinking they were invincible, had been driven off by humans, by wolves, by elephants, by every creature that had fought back. Morrow raised his rifle into the air, a victory salute. "This is our planet. Don't forget it." The aftermath was surreal. The city, though devastated, was still standing. Alien ships lay scattered across the streets, their hulls twisted and cracked. And in the midst of the wreckage, the animals moved. No longer just wild creatures, but protectors of the Earth, standing side by side with the humans who had fought alongside them. Morrow looked around at his team, the men who had made it through against all odds. They were battered, exhausted, but they were alive. They had won. Brooks slapped him on the back, a grin breaking across his face. "I can't believe it! We actually did it!" Morrow nodded, looking up at the sky where the last of the alien ships were retreating. "We didn't do it alone," he said, watching a pack of wolves trot past, their eyes gleaming with the same pride Morrow felt in his chest. "They weren't the only ones fighting," Brooks said quietly. "We were just part of the team." And Morrow couldn't have agreed more. They had all been part of the team, the humans, the animals, the Earth itself. Together, they had pushed back the invaders. Together, they had proven one simple truth. You never bet against Earth.